Hey everybody, this is the Rogue Overland Adventure Chat show. I'm Nick Savacci, and this is episode 6.
And I'm Mike Schaefer, and today we're going to talk about adventuring with kids.
All right, Mike, here we are. We are now talking about adventuring with kids, which you and I have a deep understanding for.
Yeah, we've been doing this a long time with kids. I know my oldest was like 8 weeks old the first time, 11 weeks old the first time we took him out.
Yeah, same. My daughter was, six or 8 weeks first time. Took her on it was like an 8-hour drive and then a little bit of camping.
You know, it'd be interesting though. I'm curious what the kids' perspective is on all of this. Let's bring them in and have them talk for a couple minutes and see what they think about overlanding.
Let's do it.
All right, come on, guys.
All right, here we go. So Mike and I, if you're not watching this on YouTube, Mike and I are stepping out of the frame, and we are bringing the Rogue Overland kids into the mix.
And we have no idea what's about to happen.
We have no idea what's about to happen.
It'll be fun.
But they go ahead, step back a little, don't crowd it. But all of these kids have been adventuring since they were tiny, and we're gonna just leave it to them. They've got 5 minutes to talk about whatever.
Guys, we want you to talk about what you like about overlanding.
We'll just tell them.
So I personally think I really like when we're out by rivers, and once we were making there was this river, and so we made a dam, and we called it Beaver Dam, and so we just made dirt mixed with water, and we just mixed it up and put it there and put rocks there and sticks. And then our parents had to smush it to get out. So we were kind of sad about that. But it was really
I remember
fun.
that story.
And
they drove over the dam.
Yeah. And I remember yelling, no!
yeah, that was so fun.
And I like camping because one time when I was camping, my shoe got stuck in the river. We thought we were going to get it back, but we got it back.
Yeah, we found it the next day.
We found it right before we were about to leave, and then I got it back.
I have a story about Mike.
We're going to hear that story about Mike in just a second, but first I want to remind you that new episodes of the Adventure Chat podcast drop on the first and third Sunday of every month. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. If you're listening to it on one of the other podcast platforms, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating. Make sure you hang till the end, as Mike and I are going to wrap up some of the things the kids said, and then we're going to give you the most important tip that we can when it comes to adventuring with kids. And that's going to be at the very end of this episode.
He was taking a bath in the river, and he lifts up his foot, and his shoe just goes
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't get it back. We
just went on drifting
We
down the
still
river.
don't know where it is right now today.
It might be in a different state.
I think it got stuck in that wood pile.
Oh, yeah.
That we were
Because
crossing.
we never saw it go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
It was so much fun. But
I
I think Xander has something to say, so let's let him.
I like going camping because we get to go rock crawling, and me and Carson get to drive RCs. And sometimes there's a little river that we drive to.
Yes, it's
And
quite
we get
fun.
to walk while it's muddy.
I have a story about Carson's rock crawling.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one.
It's a really good one.
We
Okay, so he was driving on a big hill next to like a ledge by water, and it fell and it rolled down. That's my story.
All right, we're going to have Carson tell the story.
Yeah, we'll have Carson tell the story.
This is his story.
Carson, over here.
This is your story, Carson.
Carson,
You
you're
have to
right
say
here.
it.
This is your
Carson,
story.
you gotta say your story.
So I was driving my rock crawler up a hill, and the hill was facing a cliff, and the cliff went into a lake, and that seemed smart. So I kept driving up the thing
Back up.
when the front tire lifted. So the natural thing to do is I started going backwards to lower it, but I hit the throttle too fast, and it started tumbling down the hill into the lake.
So Xander is more of the one who's like, oh, let's try it. And Carson's more the one like, I don't think that's safe. And Xander pushed Carson to do it. And so he did it.
That never happened. He never pushed me.
Carson?
I chose to.
Carson's
Not
the one
push-up.
that loves to do crazy stuff. I'm the one who hates
He's
to
the
do
safe
crazy
one. I'm the not safe
Yeah,
one.
I love camping and stuff because of the sights we can
And
see.
it was so nice because there's a guy there that was cleaning the bathrooms and had a wife that was canoeing, and she got to get it and bring it to us. And Nick and my dad went down to grab it.
I still have
But the dads were just about to dive in and swim. It was so funny.
And it was floating. We thought it was going to be sink, and it still works.
Wait, what tires did you have that made it
Oh
not
yeah. Oh
sink?
yeah.
Those tires are
If anyone needs floating tires, I know good tires.
You guys need bigger tires if you don't want to lose your rock collar
Wasn't
in
it
water.
like just by the front tire? No,
I don't
I'm
know.
trying to see Carson.
It's funny too because I just got new tires then.
Yeah, it was really funny.
It's perfect when you got new tires.
I
And,
didn't
like,
like
it's
experiment
insane.
when I got home and I tried my old tires and they sunk.
All right. How about some things that you enjoy about adventuring, or some advice?
Adventuring with a family is better than adventuring alone. If you bring friends with you, it's easier for your kids to not be like
You are a kid.
out of control. But yeah, so you should bring
You sound
kids
so
and
professional.
you should get friends and kids to come with you guys so that your kids aren't out of control. But yeah,
Wait, I'm confused. You are a kid. You don't have kids.
Yeah,
How do you know this?
Bringing
Oh,
a kid on a
Pencil.
non-kids trip will get very boring for them.
I know.
Here's
Definitely.
guys,
And I love when it was long trips because it's fun, like figuring out something to do because it's long, but it feels kind of miserable.
If you-
but it's fun.
If you are going on a long trip, bring music.
And things to do.
Ellen, are you excited
Oh,
for
sure, that
Alaska
too.
this next year?
Xander's trying to say something.
Almost every lunch stop, me and Carson have got out our RCs and just started driving randomly.
Who's
And
all?
that's when he also lost his thing. It was at a lunchbox. His rock crawler. It was at a lunch shop.
Who
When
all
you
is excited for Alaska? Like, I'm excited because we get to go with you guys and it won't be that boring.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. Nah.
Guys, look at the parents. They don't want you to see
You
that.
can edit that part out.
Yeah, you can edit that.
Yeah, you're doing great. I'm really
Carson.
impressed.
But if you are just like a typically not outdoors family, then camping in your backyard would be fine. But if you love outdoors,
They're like fun, like finding new camping spots because they're like pretty. If they have trees and grass.
And the mosquitoes take over.
Yeah, mosquitoes
Oh, yeah.
like to take over. I have like millions of them on.
my family went to Canada this summer, and whatever, and there was so cold. There was like cold water, and it was really cold, and we had to clean up in it because if we didn't, we'd be smelly. And it was so fun because we got to experience the coldness,
I
and
see your face in the
it
camera.
was ice baths almost every day. So yeah, now I'll pass it on to whoever wants to talk.
I got a quick question.
Yes?
Yes, Mr. Mike. Mr.
Carter,
Mike's
I
on.
want to see if you got any advice for everybody. You're 13, so you're kind of getting into that teenager stage. I feel like maybe you've got a little bit different perspective than some of the younger kids.
is a
But you've gone
teenager.
through all the younger stuff. Do you have any advice for anybody out there, kind of in your age group?
If you're bringing your kids camping, bring them stuff to do. They will get very bored. They can't just sit around a campfire and talk with the parents. They need something to do. They want to go climb a mountain or
Go hiking.
go hiking. Yeah.
And find
like-
trees and leaves. Make
Even if it's-
miniature fires.
Even if it's just a book, just bring something for them to do.
These families,
How about-
dirt biking is the best. We do shredder camp. It's so much fun, and we found a little campsite once, and so we took it over. We had shredder camp there, and so
And it was just
bring
us
friends.
kids. And
I
it was
got
just us kids. There were no adults. Adults were
Yeah.
not allowed.
He wasn't even there.
Okay, how about snacks? What are some snacks that kids
Some
like on
snacks
trips?
that kids can
Goldfish.
Goldfish.
Guys, some goldfish, fruit snacks, granola bars.
But mainly
Fruit is so good.
Ice cream. Definitely bring water.
Yeah.
Fruit
that's
would be
kind of
good. Maybe some vegetables.
Trader Joe's, if you ever
no
pass
vegetables.
through.
Vegetables.
You guys,
Kids.
you guys, I'm trying to talk.
I'm not gonna eat vegetables.
You guys, I'm trying to talk. Can I talk,
Okay.
please? If you go by a Trader Joe's, there's these watermelon drinks, pineapple drinks, whatever flavor you like best. And they're really good if you want to bring them. They don't have to be in the fridge, but you can put them in the fridge to make them cold. And yeah.
And if you're out there and you're like Gatorade or like Propel, then there's like these packets that you can get that don't take up that much space, and you just put it in your water and shake it, and it's really good. And it's healthy.
When you're packing to go, always bring an extra set of clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you're about to
At
go.
least socks.
At least socks.
Because
I always bring an extra pair of socks.
But if you don't bring extra pair of clothes,
And
then
underwear.
if you accidentally fall into water, you'll have no clothes for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All right, so
All right.
before we take you guys out, before
No,
we
we
take you guys
can't
out,
leave.
let's let one person talk at a time. Let's go youngest to oldest. What's your most favorite place that you have ever camped or traveled to during your years of traveling?
I really like
National Forest in Utah was my favorite place.
My favorite place to go camping is out like in woods or like there's really pretty like there's woods that are really pretty, or Duck Creek. Duck Creek is really pretty up there. My favorite place to travel to is Wickenwood. It was
I enjoy cliff jumping, and there was one in Sedona I really liked doing with my dad. And today we get to go cliff jumping at Sand Hollow, and so I'm
Hollow
so
Sand.
excited. And so cliff jumping is just fun if you find a place to go cliff jumping. So you should go cliff jumping.
Who's next?
Carson.
I don't have a favorite place to be. I just like camping in general. I just like
cool.
being with people.
Nice.
And having fun.
Zoe?
Oh, no. What?
You already went, right?
Zoe. Oh, okay, Carter.
Carter.
My favorite place is either Cherry Creek or Duck Creek. They're both
Cherry Creek?
Cherry Creek, yes. They're both very beautiful places and very fun to go camping.
Nice. Good job, guys.
But just one thing. Always go with your friends.
I love dog biking.
You guys head out.
Thank you,
Shut the
guys.
door
One more
behind
thing
you.
for the camera.
Be sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.
Chicken macaroni.
Woo!
I'll tell you what, man, that was. We're just gonna keep rolling on this.
Yeah, we are. You're getting raw on this one.
Man, I'm doing this wrong. Dude, the kids did great.
They did good. Just for everybody, for your knowledge, that's their first time, like actually speaking to the camera ever.
Yeah.
They've been in some clips of some videos, but for the most part, they've never been front and center.
No, and I feel like maybe we should clarify some of those stories. Like,
Oh my gosh, yeah. I can't digest it all.
that whole rock crawler story could be a whole episode all on its
Oh
own.
my gosh,
I almost
yeah.
killed Nick that day. Like
Yeah.
legit, almost killed Nick that day.
You know what? Let's do an episode just on that. Let's actually record that one. That'll be the next episode.
Yeah,
Okay.
the day I almost killed Nick.
The day you almost killed me. All right, so that'll be the next episode. Oh boy, I don't even know. I don't know.
I'm actually really impressed because we literally just threw the kids in and said, we just want you guys to talk a little bit. And I'll tell you what, they brought up some phenomenal points, man.
Some good points.
Bringing stuff, traveling with friends.
Yep.
My gosh, dude, I was super impressed.
Yeah, and let's touch on those briefly, and we're not even going to go too deep because they're pretty easy. So traveling with friends, what it comes
it's
down
huge,
to
yeah.
for me is that the kids will entertain themselves so the parents can sit around the campfire. That's
Yeah.
really, to me, what bringing other kids. If you don't bring other kids, then your kids are going to constantly be
Oh
asking
yeah,
you
it's
for
just like
stuff.
being at home.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and they have fun. I mean, they build those memories together. I mean, our kids have built lifelong memories together.
Yeah, they're
you
basically
know.
siblings.
They are, and they fight like siblings sometimes too. Like, let's not for sure, but
True. Yeah. Okay, so bring friends, bring snacks.
oh yeah, Goldfish. This episode actually is sponsored by Goldfish. Oh my gosh, dude, I hate them things too.
Oh, yeah, they get everywhere.
Oh gosh, dude, I'll find them for. Speaking of traveling with kids, I'm gonna throw a story out real quick.
Hit it.
We went up to see my buddy last weekend up in Georgetown to work on the Rebel trailer a little bit.
Yeah.
And I stopped in Beatty, and I always let the kids pick out a bag of candy, right? Eleanor bought these mini gum jawbreaker things,
Oh.
spilled them all over the back of the truck.
Oh man.
I've been finding, I will move something, and 5 of them will roll out.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, and I just like, Eleanor!
Yeah,
But
you'll still
it was
be
fun.
finding those.
I'm
when-
still in.
when
I found some this morning when we
Carter's
were
driving
loading.
that
Yeah.
thing, you'll still
oh
be
my
finding them.
gosh, dude. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
But yeah.
but you've got to bring the snacks because if people get hangry, traveling with kids, especially when you're traveling long distance, it's challenging enough because they don't want to be sitting there all that time.
Yeah.
If they're hangry on top of it, it's no good.
Yeah, you've got to adjust your timetable. If Nick and I are if we're pre-running a road trip, dude, we can lay down the miles, pee in a bottle, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
We've never actually done that, but when you're traveling with kids, if you think you're going to do 10 hours that day, you've got to start that trip with some realistic expectations.
For sure.
There's going to be more potty breaks. There's going to be more I'm hungry breaks.
Yeah.
And you need to go into it with that expectation.
100%. Yep. I would say easily factor in 30 to 40% more time.
Oh, absolutely.
Than what you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when they're young. And we started, I don't know about you guys, I'm pretty sure y'all did too. We started our kids young.
Straight off.
Carter was legit. We took him camping the first time he was 11 weeks old, and we drug him up a dirt road in the Willers Pass in Nevada. And that was his camping trip. And that's actually another point I'd like to make too. And I hear a lot of people say, I'm going to take my kids out. I want to get them out four-wheeling. I want to get them out adventuring. But I'm going to wait until they're X number of years old. And I think that is the biggest mistake people can make.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, we did some hard trips when our kids were little. And I'm going to tell you, the worst phase was not when they were babies and weren't moving. It was when they started crawling right up to where they just started walking. That was the hardest stage.
Yep.
Because they're not old enough to be able to be like, hey, go walk around, play with some tree sticks, whatever. And they're on the ground and they're crawling around and they're trying to get sick. That was the hardest phase for us.
Yeah.
It was actually easier before they started moving because you just put them in the jumper or hold them and they're fine,
Yeah, and I'd even stretch that out to be the earliest phases of walking because I remember Xander around the campfire and, he's like a little drunk,
dude,
basically.
Oh, my gosh.
So
I remember so
like,
many times where we're like,
don't fall in the campfire, So I think, you're 100% right. And I agree, we have a friend, and I won't name any names because I'm not sure if he'd want us to or not, but he said to you and I both, he said, one of my biggest mistakes was I waited too long to take my kids camping because I thought that I needed to wait till they were at the right age. The right age is right now.
Yeah,
right.
It is.
And I think another great thing the kids brought up is bring stuff to keep the kids entertained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Eleanor had mentioned the coloring books, the RC crawlers. That's been a huge one for Carson and Xander, man. We've hauled them stupid things all over the place. They've been all up to Oregon and back and Washington and all the way up to Canada.
Yeah.
And one thing that your family started that I really regret that I didn't do before and get my kids started earlier was the adventure books that they got. I just think it's such a great idea because they're logging stuff. Well, yeah, I mean, tell us about that. You know more about them than I do. I love the idea of them.
Yeah, so the idea was to basically get the kids engaged in where they're going. So what we do is if it's a long trip, like when we all went out to Oregon for that 17 or 19 days, it'll be every day.
Yep.
If it's just a quick trip, one or two nights, it might be 1 or 2 days worth, but it's just a 3-ring binder, 3-ring binder, and then basically a piece of paper, right? And then in that piece of paper, they're going to write 3 things that they enjoyed from that portion of the trip, right? And then they'll color a picture from that portion of the trip. And then the last part is it'll have something that they got along the way. So this could be anything from a rock they found, a piece of bone, a leaf, to a picture or a sticker or a patch that maybe we picked up at a gas station somewhere or at a national park.
Yeah.
And then the one thing I will say that you need to be aware of, especially if you start them when your kids are younger, is write what that picture is that they colored, because they might be coloring everybody camping at the campsite at the fire, and you're like, I don't know what that is. So when they're younger, I would always put, okay, tell me what that's a picture of. Oh, it's a picture of the fire. Okay, and I write it at the bottom so that now when we look back at these things they drew when they were 2, we know what it is.
Yeah, I love that idea so much. And I think that the key thing is it's keeping them engaged. It's keeping them engaged in the trip, It's keeping them in the keeping them engaged in the planning stages, like we're talking about this Alaska trip coming up. And one of the things that I'm making my kids do, and my oldest standing back here still owes me one, but I'm having him look up stuff in Alaska and find something cool. Like, hey, you know, Carson again, he's my history buff. Like, find a cool museum, and he found a really cool like airplane boat float museum up there that he wants to see. And you know, Eleanor's like, oh, I'd love to see this waterfall at this national park, you know, and we can kind of take that and incorporate them. So you know, we're bringing them into the trip planning stage even. And you know, so when we get there, like, hey, this is something you wanted to see that you laid out for us, you know. It's just about keeping them engaged all the time. Don't just stick them in the back seat and ignore them for 4 days, you know. We're here to share this stuff with them.
Absolutely.
You know, we want them to be engaged in what's happening.
Yeah, and I think every trip, you know, there's a progression, right? Every stage in their age is sort of a different amount that they can be involved, right? So as they're becoming driving age, we can start to, you know, teach them how to drive some of the obstacles and things like that. Maybe they're a little more involved in setting up camp, breaking down camp.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that I hadn't brought up to you yet, speaking of the Alaska trip, is I think it would be really cool to even take areas where we're going to be and say, okay, cool, Carter, why don't you do some research and write a paragraph about this thing that we're going to go see, and you know, you this thing and this
history
thing.
Lesson
You know, so they're engaged, and I think when they're engaged, it makes them, they have that vested interest, and so the trip isn't just, oh, here I am sitting in the back of the car again, driving all over.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, man. It's just so important, man. You know, we want them to enjoy this, and we really want them. You know, we're pulling them out of school. We talked about that earlier with the wives. You know, like it's important for us to pull them out of school. You know, I don't mind them missing a couple days here and there to get some real life experience. You know,
Absolutely.
and you know, but we want to make that experience beneficial to them. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah.
Yeah, let's see. So I think, what else? Any other thoughts on? I would say, I guess, is just space is at a premium if you're traveling with. I mean,
that's a good segue, actually.
You know, even if you're traveling with one kid, you still the things you need when you're traveling with a kid, depending on their age, right? If you have to carry diapers, things like that. Car seats take up a lot of space.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So I think when you're adventuring with kids, a piece of advice that I would have is just take that backpacker's mentality. Think of, hey, what are the smaller versions of things I can use? Big chairs versus smaller chairs, things like that, so that you're saving space, because space will be at a premium when you're traveling with, especially with you and I, when we have 5 people, 3 kids in SUVs.
What we like to do is, you know, a while back we bought each kid a duffel bag, and we're like, hey, this is your duffel bag, this is what your clothes on, you know, and it's kind of like their area. So we allow them to have that duffel bag. That's where all their clothes and stuff go, and they put all that in. Usually jackets get thrown in wherever because they're in and out of the truck anyway. But, you know, that kind of gives them their space, and they know they're responsible for that. And then, you know, give them like a small car bag or something too that they can keep up front with them, you know, and just little things, you know, like you said, the size constraints, man. You know, if your kids are into stuffies and they've got this giant stuffy on their bed at home, hey, how about we get a camping stuffy? Like, hey, this is, you know, Johnny the squirrel, and he wants to go overlanding with you. So, you know, you just little things like that they can still have, but, you know, size constraints, you know, size, something small.
And then extra clothes. I think the kids
I think the kid, Nana, I think,
Yeah.
touched on that.
Make sure you have those extra clothes for kids.
Because if there's a mud hole or a water puddle
they're going in.
5 miles from camp, they'll find it.
Yeah, they will.
They'll find it. Like extra shoes, good hiking shoes and stuff. My kids will, all of our kids, they'll be on top of a mountain before you know it. Make sure they got good, you know, good gear, good clothing, good warm layers. That's the thing. Make sure they've got all their layers, you know.
Hey guys, make sure you don't go in that mud puddle. You got it, Dad.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, Dad, covered in mud. I'm cold. What do I do?
My favorite, though, is the RC crawlers. Don't drive the RC crawlers in the mud hole. You know, we're here for 5 minutes for lunch, and then we're moving.
Right.
All right, guys, let's go. Drip, drip. Okay, can you put this in the bag, Dad? Like, oh, you're killing me, kid, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, I think just keep them engaged. You know, you don't want it to be a miserable experience for them. You know, so you know your kid. Read your kid. If it's time to get out of the car, take the time to get out of the car. That's where that extra time planning comes into play.
Yeah.
You know, you want it to be a good experience for them.
Yep. I think that's it.
I think that's kind of some of the bigger stuff that we've hit over the years. I know.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest for a minute too. They're not all going to go great.
Oh no.
You're going to have.
Oh man, that's a good
like
point.
we're ending it here.
That's a good point.
But
yeah.
you know, this look, it's traveling with kids is not all unicorns and rainbows all the time. Yeah. You are going to have some amazing trips.
Absolutely.
But there's going to be days in Oregon at that hot spring. Like literally we pulled into camp.
I've never seen you off your game like that.
My kids were monsters. Carter, I love you. My kids were monsters. I'd found a shock broken underneath my truck. You remember all this?
Do.
Like
yeah,
I'm looking over,
we were calling.
And I think I looked at you and said, "I'm going to go home." And we were like 2 days into like a 3-week trip, and I'm like, "I'm done. I can't do it anymore." And yeah, man. I mean, we're being real here. We're being real. We've traveled. We've had some amazing adventures, but there's been times where I would have left my kids in another state and drove away and probably been okay with that.
Yeah, no question about it. I remember one time we were in Death Valley and it was, we were with you guys and it was that year that it snowed to where they had closed down Titus Canyon.
Oh, yeah.
And we couldn't even heat food up fast enough and keep it warm. And so everybody was hungry, everybody was cold.
Hangry kids are
my
the
kids
worst,
were just
too.
whining and I just thinking to myself, like, do I even want to stay here tonight or do I just want to load it up and drive it home? So yeah, it's 100%. There are going to be bad days, but you will find that the good days will outweigh the bad days if you just
it's worth it.
learn
Stick
from
with
the
it.
process.
That was what I said earlier, because those bad days I think they're fewer and far between when a kid has a better expectation of what they're getting into also.
Absolutely.
But it's fun. It's worth it though.
Totally.
I mean, personally for me, man, I've had some just amazing times with you guys and my family and other, we have a bunch of our friends and we all get together and do the Rogue kids trips. And those are some of my favorite trips. They're slower paced. There's 57 kids and 10 adults rolling around, and it's just a great time, man. Like find a group and hit it.
It is. It's totally
It's a lot of fun.
All right. I think we covered it. Mike, where can they find us?
All the social media platforms. You've got YouTube and Twitter, and I'm gonna quit calling it Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I'm sure there's others I'm missing.
There's others.
But if you look at Rogue Overland, you'll find them out there. All the normal spots.
Yep. We'll see you on the trail. Copyright Rogue Overland 2024. All rights reserved.